So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on at the Iowa State Fair, which is a big political event. And here you have a really interesting exchange. There's a lifelong Republican who voted for Joe Biden, who basically confronts a guy who's a massive Trump supporter. And I mean, you can look at the Trump supporter's face, and he's clearly struggling with the things that the Republican Joe Biden supporter is saying. But I think this is the sort of rude awakening that a lot of these people are in for if they keep plowing ahead and insisting on Trump as their candidate. So let's watch.
Recount after recount showed it, mister. I've been a Republican my whole life. Yes, I agree with some of Trump's policies, but the guy does not belong back in the White House. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm one of the few. I'm one of the ones that's going to keep him out of there because, unfortunately,
you're not keeping him out
I've never voted for a Democrat in my life. I had to vote for one last time. I voted for Biden. He's in there, and people like me are going to be the ones that are going to keep Trump out.
They clearly chopped that up quite a bit. I wish I could see the full, back and forth, because I think it would have been even more illuminating. But basically, the Trump supporter was saying, well, Mike Pence had the authority. He could have overturned the election. He chose not to overturn the election. He's a traitor. We're against him, etc. And then here you have this lifelong Republican who voted for Joe Biden basically coming out of the woodworks and talking to this guy and saying, listen, I'm the reason Trump lost the election last time, because I'm a lifelong Republican and I voted for Joe Biden. And, I may agree with some of Trump's policies as a Republican, but the fact of the matter is those policies are secondary to the fact that I want to have a functioning country with a peaceful transfer of power. And so if it comes to that again, I'm going to vote him out again. And he makes that point. And then you have this Trump supporter who's like, you're not going to vote him out. Basically making the argument like you're kind of irrelevant. But I got news for you, dude. I got news for you. This is the exact point we've been making on this show for a long time now, that the Republican Party is between a rock and a hard place for the very simple reason that Trump is leading by about 1 million points. It's almost a foregone conclusion that he's going to win the nomination on the Republican side. But he has a stranglehold on the base, and nobody else has a real chance to overtake him, at least as of right now. But then in the general election, it's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite. He is every single independent and moderate and centrist and center-right person and a whole swath of like northeastern suburbanite Republicans. They're not buying what he's selling. They're just not. Trump has a problem with independence, and Trump has a problem with the suburbs. He's the weakest of all of the potential general election candidates for the Republicans. And I say that purposely. Even a guy like Tim Scott, who has zero personality, zero policy chops, just a total empty suit as the Republican nominee, would have a decent chance against Joe Biden. Just the fact that they're, hey, this person is younger and can complete a full sentence and looks like a leader or whatever sort of vacuous, vapid nonsense you want to say, they would have a much better chance against Joe Biden. Democratic leadership and normie, run-of-the-mill Democratic voters, they kind of want Trump as the Republican nominee because they feel like, oh, well then, we're in the best place possible. And back in 2016, that didn't work. It was called the Pied Piper strategy, and Hillary tried it, and it actually came back to bite her in the ass. And if anything, I think Hillary probably could have beaten a Ted Cruz or a Marco Rubio or a Jeb Bush, right? But she couldn't beat Trump. Well, this time, no, that logic has flipped. Why? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because he's under 74 criminal indictments. Maybe that's why. Maybe because he still can't shut up about the 2020 election. Maybe because he's very clear about his authoritarian instinct. And this is the sort of, and look, I guarantee you, the reaction from that Trump supporter is still like smugly dismissing it. And it's like, the warnings are there. They're telling you right now. Even somebody who's like sort of almost equally as extreme as Trump, like Ron DeSantis, with all of his lack of charisma and all of the strikes against him, even he would have a better chance against a Joe Biden. In a perfect world, it would be, we don't have Joe Biden on the Democratic side or Trump on the Republican side. That'd be a perfect world. But unfortunately, it does feel a lot like early in 2016 when we felt like, really, is it going to be Hillary versus Trump? It's almost like I'm waiting for the plot twist. I want there to be a plot twist, but maybe the boring thing and the banal thing might end up fundamentally happening over time. That we are doomed to a Biden versus Trump rematch, which is like, really? Over 300 million people in this country, we couldn't come up with anything even a little bit better than that? Even a little bit better than that? It's just astonishing. But look, I wonder how many people like this are out there. I do wonder. My mom, for most of her life, was a Republican. 2008 was the first time she voted for a Democrat. It was Barack Obama. And now, even though she hates a lot of the Democrats, she would never vote for Donald Trump. Ever. There's a lot of anecdotal stuff I see like that. And again, the data is largely backing it up. I will say, though, every now and then you do get a poll that's like, really? Now, to be fair, it is the outlier, right? It's always an outlier when it's like Trump and Biden are statistically tied. Those are outliers, but God, that's terrifying. And now, so I'll come full circle to talk about the Democrats here for a second. For the love of God, pick Marianne Williamson. For the love of God. She is more electable. She's younger. She's sharper. She's a great debater. She's intelligent. She's running on a revival of FDR's Economic Bill of Rights, so she's running on something substantive. Help people. Give them health care. Give them college. Lower the cost of prescription drugs. Give people a right to a union and higher wages and all these things. Like, she's the more serious candidate. I don't know how else to say it. And so it is kind of terrifying. I feel like Democratic leadership, they're rolling the dice with disaster by really betting it all on Biden, sort of trying to clear the field for Biden and pretending like there's no other candidates even in the race. I find it deeply dishonest, disingenuous, disgusting, and counterproductive, at least if your ultimate goal is we got to keep Trump out. I really do feel that way. I mean, ultimately, anything but Trump is better because the dude clearly wanted to overthrow the election, and now he's made that even more crystal clear in the aftermath and all this. Not anybody but Trump is better. But I would like to see somebody who can actually do good things for the country and not just the tweaks around the edges, which is not nearly enough at this moment in history that we're in. So anyway, I'm sure there's going to be more evidence of this coming out because this is a real trend. Every time Trump gets indicted, every time he freaks out on, Truth Social and does an all caps rant against a judge or a prosecutor coming after him, whatever, goes up in the primary, goes down in the general. And he likes to pretend he's still a strong general election candidate. That is not remotely true. I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there like this one who, lifelong Republican, and is like, I just can't do it with Trump. I just can't. I think what he's doing is dangerous. And they're not wrong. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.